Hi guys, this is Dante with Drive and Thrive, and something that has been on my mind for a long time was in Seattle, as in many other cities and states in the country, there is a law against using your cell phone while driving. Nevertheless, we have to use our cell phones to accept orders from Uber Eats and Uber and DoorDash and Postmates and everyone, right? So I came across this article that was released today, actually, from Sydney, Australia. And it says Uber drivers complain they are forced to break the law to do their job. An Uber driver, Jayesh, tapped his phone just once when a police car pulled him over. A new trip had just popped up on the driver's Uber app on his phone, which was mounted on his car. So Jayesh made sure he stopped at the traffic lights in Greenboro in Melbourne's northeast before tapping his screen to accept the trip. Now, this guy told the police officer, hey, listen, I made sure I was at a stop. The light was red. I tapped my phone to accept. This police officer still fined the guy $484. As much as I kind of want to blame Uber for this, I don't think this is Uber's fault. I think that this is something that is at the discretion of the police officer. The police should just understand. Look, the guy was not endangering anyone. Okay, now he wasn't violating the spirit of these cell phone laws, which the spirit is to keep everyone on the road safe. So the guy was trying his best to keep everyone safe, right? And so look, I know a lot of times police officers say, look, take it up with the judge. And I don't know what the laws are like in Sydney, Australia, but hopefully in the United States, if these things come up, judges will be more understanding. They'll say, hey, listen, of course, we realize that it's not your fault. But even if a judge was understanding, look at all the stress and drama an Uber driver has to go through. First, you have to get the ticket, which in Australia was a whopping $484. But even if it's $150, getting a ticket like that is a very stressful thing to endure. Then you got to go to court. Then you got to worry about it affecting your license status. In Australia, this guy lost 4 demerit points on his license. So this is all a big hassle for Uber drivers. Now, as I always say for my driving Uber Eats or DoorDash or Postmates, I always have to race because sometimes I park illegally because there's no parking spots. So I arrive at a restaurant, there's no parking spots, I park illegally, and I have to race and hope when I come back that I don't get a parking ticket. And I've paid hundreds of dollars in parking tickets because I've lost the race with really diligent traffic officers. Who, by the way, there was one lady who got me twice in one day. The second time I was furious because I was like, look, you specifically targeted me. And she was like, look, it's not my fault that you parked illegally. And you know what? I guess it's not her fault. But she knew what I was doing. I told her that I'm an Uber Eats driver. She knew what I was doing, but she gave me the tickets anyway. And I didn't actually challenge them because, again, it's like a huge hassle. You have to show up in court, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you just pay the tickets off. So what should be done? Is it Uber's fault? Is it the officer's fault? Is it the driver's fault? Now, the article says this poses a problem for Uber drivers who are being offered new trips on their app while behind the wheel. The company argues it is the driver's responsibilities to accept trips legally, but drivers have 15 seconds at most to accept a trip before losing the job. But see, losing the job, losing that particular trip. That's fair. But there is one thing that the drivers can do. Since acceptance rate doesn't cost us our actual jobs as drivers, You could literally pull over, put your car in park, right, and then wait for an order to come in, or wait for a drive to come in. You can do that, but who does that? I mean, that isn't really like an efficient way to do your job. I don't know. I mean, well, what else are you going to do? I promise you, after that first $484 ticket that I got, the next time I would have pulled over to the side of the road and waited. Turned off the ignition and everything. Okay, so stopping a car within 15 seconds would be highly dangerous. That's true, but you can just decline the order. So that's not really an argument. Jayes accepts that he has broken the law, but he wants to know why Uber was given the green light to operate in Australia. Well, that's the thing. Look, it's actually not Uber's fault. The drivers can pull over on the side of the road, turn off their ignition, and wait for new orders to come in. You don't have to accept every order. There is no acceptance rate. And I actually made a video that was the number one mistake Uber Eats drivers make, and that's accepting every single order. Like, oh my God, if an order comes in, I have to accept it. Oh my God, a ride is coming in, I have to accept it. I have to accept. You don't have to accept. You're not missing out on work or anything like that. Pull over, wait for it. Now it depends. I don't know where this guy lives. He says, in simple terms, Uber wants me to use the mobile phone while driving. If I don't take these trips, I'll miss out on work and my earnings will drop. I won't make as much money. That's not necessarily true. Now, it depends on where you live, though. If you live in a rural area or a place that isn't very active, I suppose that could be true. But if you live in a major city, after you decline a trip, another one is going to come in a couple seconds. I mean, it's only going to cost you about 30 or 40 seconds. Pull over on the side of the road, turn off your ignition, wait for a new trip to come in, hit accept, and you're on your way. Now, but I say that admitting I would never do that. Like, that is not something that I would do. Maybe if I got that $484 ticket, I would, but that's not something I would do, you know. Anyway, either the whole app needs to change, or there must be a provision for people who are driving rideshare vehicles to allow them to touch their mobile screen if they want to operate these apps legally. Now, I will admit, that is a way to go. Uber could lobby cities to change the law, but honestly, you know, a lot of cities are not pro-Uber anyway, you know, because the taxi drivers are complaining in all these big cities. You know, Uber is barely hanging on to some of these cities anyway, even in my city. Right? You know, there's all sorts of drama with labor, with unions and all sorts of stuff, right? With city councils passing laws against Uber. You know, Uber isn't really in a position to push their weight to legislate in these places, like Sydney, Australia or something like that. So you can forget about that. The next step, I think what Uber could do was to make a feature, and actually, this actually talks about this. It says, an Uber spokeswoman said drivers were independent contractors, etc. The accessibility that comes with the phone app is a key feature of the rideshare company's success. We know that it is not uncommon for the average driver, not just those, etc., etc., etc. We continue to work hard to ensure the driver's distraction is kept to the minimum. Now, what my idea would be is to have voice activation on the Uber app itself. I have no idea. Look, I'm not an app developer. But maybe there could be some sort of voice-activated command, such as, like, you know, what Google uses. Like, I'll even show you on my LG Smart TV. You know, you have that little voice command app thing, right? And you know, whenever you're on Google anything, you're able to just press a button and search that way. So it would be nice if you could, like, have, when the app is open, to have it sort of reading your voice the entire time. So when an app pops up, you could just say accept, right? And you can do it all hands-free. You never have to look on your phone. You could have voice navigation, which Uber app already has. You could have your own voice accepting the drives or accepting the orders. and that would be amazing. It would solve the problem. I have no idea if it's feasible. Like, I don't know how much money that would cost Uber. But the final obvious thing is pull over. It's going to cost you like a minute. I'm not. I'm not the type of person to do that. I'm going to be honest. This is the way I drive and everything. I don't put anyone in danger. But see, I also, it's a tricky thing while driving while you're with your phone, like on your lap or on a stand or anything like that. Because it is slightly more dangerous for yourself and the other passengers on the road. But it's not very hard for me, like, if I hear a buzz, just to glance over and hit accept and keep my eyes on the road. I glance and I touch, right? It takes like a millisecond. No, that's just me. Am I actually going to be pulling over? I don't know. But, there have been studies done about drivers' distractions and causing accidents, though. So, it only takes, especially if you're on the highway or something like that, it takes milliseconds of reaction time in order for you to see that you need to stop, to place your foot on the gas pedal. It takes more time to move from the accelerator to the brake and to slow down. So milliseconds could be all it takes for a disaster. And so, pull over, waste a minute. As I'm talking this through right now and I'm reading the article, I actually realized that, that's probably the best thing to do anyway. And I probably will start to do that. Taxi drivers did not have to use their mobile phones to do their work. Taxi services were safer. Our system is superior in terms of safety because, they got people calling in. And so that's why I say Uber can actually match to this by having hands-free. When an app comes in, the beeping shouldn't require you to press. Like, the beeping should be like, okay, you have a drive coming in, and you can say, I accept, or accept drive, or whatever, right? And you should be able to go from there. But a Victoria police person said that they aren't able to discern if a motorist was a rideshare driver. Like, that's okay. Look, I understand that, but police, guys, like, if a guy shows you the app, says, "Look, I'm an Uber driver," give him a break. I mean, how hard is that? I mean, you see that he's at a stop sign, which, by the way, anyway, what is the benefit to the public for not using your phone at a stoplight? I mean, is it like, because, I do know that there's that delay. When you're on your phone at a stoplight, it turns green, but you're looking at your phone, and then other drivers are honking behind you. So maybe it's like an efficiency thing. But as far as like a danger thing, I don't know. I don't think that the recourse is through legal means. I think that the recourse is either the app, altering the app itself, or Uber drivers having to suck it up and waste that minute and pull over. So right now, since that isn't a feature or functionality of the app, what I'm going to do, and I'm not going to recommend what other people do, I'm just going to start pulling over to the side. Look, honestly, it doesn't take that long. Pull over, because the argument is a weak one that says, "Oh, but something popped up. I have to touch it. I have to accept." No, you don't. No, you don't. Pull over. If you miss it, so what? Another one is going to come. That's not a good argument. It's not one that I buy, and I'm a driver, so I'm biased towards drivers. So I don't think that that's one that anyone else is going to buy either. So that's a bad argument. But I want to know what you think. Do you think that that's a good enough argument? Do you think that this is an Uber problem that needs to be solved? a legal problem that needs to be solved or a driver problem that needs to be solved. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say about this. I'm actually fascinated about this. And things like it, because there's a couple other videos that I want to make just about safety generally with driving. But okay, but that is my time for now. This is just something to think about when you're driving, and please leave a comment. Let me know what you think. And as always, remember to drive and thrive.